Why do sweaters always seem to hang out together? Well, it's because they're pretty close knit. What's going on, YouTube? We have 3 Tuesday vendors these days, so we're going to go through them very quickly as always, now that there's so many of them. So we're inside the Infinite Archive, which is in Apocrypha right over here, and in this portion of it, because there's 2 vendors here, don't get confused, and always pick up the coins when you're on your way over. That's why you watch Jakeclips videos, that way you can remember. Get yourself 16 gold coins. And now, let's jump into them. We start with our 2 Mythic Leads. You'll notice right away that one of them is not Mythic. It's actually a blue lead. Now, this blue lead comes from the Ebon Dwarven Wolf, but this one you actually just pick up off the ground. So there are some annoying ones that you can get, for 5,000 archival fortunes where they come from dungeons and stuff, but this one you just pick up off the ground from this location over here inside the Alakir Desert. So not really one that's worth buying. This next one, it just fills my heart and soul to see it finally here in the Infinite Archive. This is one of the most annoying leads to possibly find. It is the Paldium Talon, which might sound insignificant, but it's part of the Torque of the Alien King. The Torque of the Alien King only drops from Infinite Archive chests, but the problem is that it knows when you want it, and that it won't give it to you. So you could just farm the Infinite Archive endlessly, and if you don't want it, you'll get it. It's like the Philosopher's Stone. This, if you're a PvPer, is an essential lead to get, because it will narrow down, that it will also, give you higher odds to get the other leads for that specific drop, because it's now rolling at this one at a lower rate. So I would highly encourage any PvPer to buy this lead. The Torque of the Alien King, for those of you who have never seen it, is an absolutely fantastic mythic. What it does is it basically just gives you a free PvP loadout. If you're like, oh, I want to try out an Arcanist or a Sorcerer for the first time, you can just slap this thing on just to see what it's like. You pretty much could just slap on any gear to go with it too, because it pretty much overrides all the set bonuses. So it's a very good set, and it's a very annoying one to get. And I think that the Torque of Alien King, while it might not be like S+ tier, is still a low S tier, high A tier item, and it's so annoying to get. Buy this item. Now, this next item may shock you, because the Maw of the Inferno Mask is actually a pretty decent pickup, and that probably will surprise you, but when you look at the chart for the listing averages above me right now, even with it in the vendor, people are listing this for 11 million gold. 11 million gold is how valuable this mask is. And granted, it does make you look like an alligator, which, is all the rage these days, I assume. It's because the world's run by lizard people. They obviously love to wear their masks to taunt us. But notably, this even used to be higher. Back all the way November 12th, people were listing this for as much as 10 million. So even if you go all the way back to when its value was lower in October, it's still 4 to 5 million. This is definitely a pretty good pickup. If you want to use your archival fortunes to keep you from having to, buy these rare masks with gold. But if you're like, I don't want to look like a lizard, Jake, it's totally fine to skip it too. Next up are Hughesbane's treasure maps. Now, people assume Hughesbane is probably hot garbage. It's not hot garbage, it's like cold garbage. It's got some good sets there. Savara's Scale used to be pretty good, and I think potentially in the future it might become relevant again. And because of how it drops, it could be very finicky, blah, 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 blah. But overall, you can skip Hughesbane's treasure maps. Companion gear equipment, rehab jewelry. These are bound again, similar to the other items that we have covered. But this one is pretty good to roll for, because even if you get a healing piece, at least you can make it on a future healer. If you get some garbage damage dealer piece, at least you can make a future damage dealer, versus if you were rolling on things like weapons and you get healing on a sword, you're like, well, this is useless. At least a ring or a necklace is guaranteed to be somewhat helpful, generally for some type of companion. Even if it's not the one that you want, these are usually the ones that you want to roll on. Then we have our 2 books, which I can never skip, or there will be rage in the comments below. We have a blue one and a not blue one. Then we have our scripts. We have Intellect and Endurance, Poison Damage, and Knight's Valor. Notably, all 3 of these I don't think are essential. I will say I actually really do like Intellect and Endurance. It's kind of cool to be able to put that on some of the scribing skills. You can then stack that with Tri-Stat Potions and have minor and major of all the recoveries, which is kind of neat, but don't buy these with Archival Fortunes. You're going to be picking up a lot of these in the overworld anyway. Then we have Elemental Storm, Violet Purple. This is very difficult, right? So 25,000 Archival Fortunes is a ton. but you're saving Undaunted keys, which would take you tons of Undaunted keys, and you're getting a very cool exclusive skill style. You're going to have to tell me in the comments below what you think of 25,000 Archival Fortunes for Elemental, Storm, Violet, Purple, because it's a common ability for people to use. Decently common, I guess I should say. And it's beautiful. So I don't know how you value that, though, with Archival Fortunes. Cosmetic beauty versus tangible currency is always a little difficult for me. Then we have our generic Mirror Maze achievement, which is going to give you your Shattered Mirror Maze body marks. We've talked about that so many times. It comes from the Infinite Archive already. If you're close, you can purchase it. Sure, you can stack it with skins to create some cool appearances. But if you're farming the Infinite Archive enough, you're probably already picking up these anyway. And then we have our Fragment, which you can find just in a normal 6th health robe costume. I'm pretty sure this one just drops from public dungeon inside of Vardenfell. Super easy to get. Next up, we're inside the Scolarium. Don't worry, this one's going to be significantly faster. We're inside of Avea. Come on down over here and then come over to the Scribing Merchants. Also, the grimoires at the top are pretty static, but we're going to buy the new one because the banner one is new. Gentle yoink to that one. Then we have Force, Uncertainty, Immobilization, and Wayfarer's Mastery. Now, hot take here, but if you don't have any of these are pretty decent all in their own right. I would say, though, that Wayfarer's Mastery is going to cost you more. All these will cost a little bit more if you don't have them unlocked already. So you probably don't need all of these. Class Mastery also is always here, requires you to have the signature for your class. But these other ones, like Immobilize, it's good. Probably one that you want to have if you don't have it. Uncertainty is probably another one of the weaker ones here, but Force is good. Definitely, if you're doing a lot of solo content, I think getting Force from your scribing abilities is pretty good. Then you don't have to build around it. It's not necessarily as good in group play because people are probably giving you Force anyway, but definitely something to keep the eye out for and think about, especially because it's gold. Throwing a couple thousand gold to get scripts that you don't have is just always worth it because you never know where the meta may go to. We may be in a meta where everybody is just applying uncertainty to add on to more uncertainty, Now we are here to our Telv Art General Merchant inside of the Lambient Passage, and this one has more rotating items for us. Now, the first one is Almalexia's Mercy. This is a bit of a hard set. This set actually was buffed a while ago. When you take damage, you heal you and your group members within 7 meters of you for 5,712 health over 3 seconds. This effect can occur once every 3 seconds, and it scales off your max magicka or stamina. Now, usually, healers that may be using this are not building max stat builds. Therefore, they're actually going to get less value than I am right now because I'm on a character that's got absolutely tons of magicka. But that heal is still pretty significant. We should also be under the effects of Battle Spirit. That should also be affecting how this looks as well, too. So this is a pretty good set. It's hard to know how good it actually is because there's just so many good alternatives right now. But I think slowly we're going to see a lot of those alternatives get nerfed. So we'll see. Right now, I would put this as like a 7.25. It's about a quarter of the way from good to great. Yeah, that's where I'd put it. Next up is Shield Breaker. Now, don't let this fool you. It is another PvP set, but this one is not as good as it may seem, even in this current meta. So you get max mag, stam recovery, weapon and spell damage, and increase your damage done by 6%. This effect is doubled when attacking targets with a damage shield active. This was a really good set when you used to be able to stack Oblivion damage. These days, though, it's unfortunately not as good as it once was. I would say, though, it still has some really, dare I say, great utilization. It's hard because in this meta, with shields being all over the place, this should be like a 9 or a 10. But even in this meta where shields are so prevalent, it's probably like an 8. And I think that number actually gets lower once we trickle away out of this meta. So I would say just 8.0. And then it will probably, with the understanding that if, shields are nerfed, which I assume they will be in the next patch or patches down the road, it's going to fall even down further down the rabbit hole. But overall, I mean, it's still great right now, but only just barely. The funny thing is when you Google this lead, the first thing that comes up is somebody saying that they farmed the specific dungeon that it drops from 20 times, and they still haven't gotten it. It's from Eden Hollow 1. It's Ring of the Wild Hunt, which is a very popular mythic. It's great for overland farming. It's great for questing, because if you want to get the storyline done, and people will say, oh, Jake, I don't want to do the story. I'm a PvPer. I'm a PvEer. Well, if you want to unlock things like scribing, which are important, you still have to go do some quests. So don't complain to me, but it's very helpful. Speed is such a helpful way to do it. I used a max speed build with 4-star or 4 stage 4 vampirism rather to get scribing done. I was probably the first Xbox player to have all of scribing done just because I had a speed build. So don't diss speed, and if you want to make gold, I would say this is pretty essential. Is it worth that much in Telv Art? It depends, but I don't think it's a bad value for how much time you could be saving. 25,000 Telv Art to potentially save you 10 plus dungeon runs, sitting in a queue, not getting the lead. Potentially is a good value. Next up, we have Lucient Choen. This one is unique because this one also drops from dungeon bosses, but public dungeon bosses. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, this one might be something I want to consider buying. No. Public dungeon bosses are significantly easier than even delve bosses because there are more bosses for you to kill, more ways that you can drop, faster respawn times because there's more of them. So don't get conflated public dungeons and normal dungeons if you're a new player. Public dungeon leads are significantly easier to get, and I would definitely encourage you to go out and get those independently without buying them with Telv Art. Next up, we have Grat Wood treasure maps. No, don't buy these. These is a bad money for value. Then we have the ring version of everything we talked about, and that also then goes into the scripts. And these scripts, I would say, are probably nothing to write home about. Fencer's Parry, I believe, goes well with Traveling Knife because it can reflect damage back after 3 seconds to the attacker. Probably the best one here, but not worth that in Telv Art. Just farm daily quests. That one specifically comes for World Boss quests, Cyrodiil quests, and Fighters Guild quests, so just do a couple of those and you'll get these in no time. All right, admittedly, the Fragment of the Storm, which edits your Force Shock, looks absolutely sick. It makes it look like that, which is so absolutely cool. However, the list of where they come from is not as hard as you might think. So it comes from the final boss in Tempest Island. And if you want to also get this one, you're also going to have to farm some really annoying places like Bedlam Vale, Mall. You're going to have to farm the Broken Path Cave. You're going to have to go to the Trading Outpost, Public Dungeon. You're going to have to go to a Delve. There's a lot of things that you're going to have to do to get this. So this would tick off one of those things. But of the 3 more annoying things at the bottom, this is the least of annoying of those things. Probably not worth Telv Art, but if you want to save yourself a dungeon run, 25,000 Telv Art is not the craziest thing, because I believe that these all have a 100% drop rate. But everyone, thank you guys so much again for watching. This has been another Tuesday vendor review. We'll keep it very brief here at the end because we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you have to do to enter is leave a comment in the comments below. Tell me anything. What most excites you about this week, and why is it the Torque of the Iliad King? Second thing is just be subscribed and /follow on Twitch and Twitter. Thank you guys again for the follows. We actually fixed our follower bots, and now it pops up on screen like subscribers on YouTube does on our Streamlabs. It's great. And the third thing is look for a hidden word to be flashed upon the screen. We're almost at the end of the month, so first one to find that word and comment it wins. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.